You're listening to the Betoota Advocates Weekly News Wrap on Desert Rock FM 96.5.
Welcome back to the weekly Betoota Advocate Bulletin. We've since stopped doing the dailies because we just thought that we'd go bigger on the weekly and give you the best of. You might hear a child hiccuping here. Errol's brought his grandson in here, young Leroy. You've been looking after Leroy for a little while, Errol. Where did Leroy's father get to?
Oh, look, let's not talk about that. But yeah, no, look, he's a good boy. He sleeps a lot, this young Leroy. But I've just got him in the papoose, which I guess your father's been chastising me about all morning. Yeah. Sir Clyde Overell. He's
I'm looking after him too. So
he's very traditional, isn't he? He laughs at the papoose, and I laugh at his nappy.
Look, it is Daddy Daycare in here today.
It is. I think it's good to have him in the podcast with us, give him a break from the Wiggles. He must be up to 2 or 3 hours of that on the iPhone already.
No. See, he's under 2 years old, so that means no screens.
Well, okay.
And look,
if that's what you're saying on the record, sure.
Look, people managed when there were no iPhones and iPads. Okay.
What about the rum on the teeth? Do you still do that one?
You
did that with Leroy's father.
People who just zonk out their kids with iPads and iPhones. You should see the stuff that they watch on that YouTube. It's dreadful.
Just sometimes you just want a bit of peace, kids. They can just be so.
No, see, you don't use the screens.
So Errol, given you now have a son who some would describe as a flaky father, and you now obviously got more gentler parenting tactics with the grandson that's obviously in your junior care. Do you regret putting Leroy's father? Do you regret putting him on Ritalin and dexamphetamines at 5-6 years of age? We warned you against it.
Yes, no, look, fucking Ritalin was the gateway, Clancy.
There we go. Well, I thought he just lost his attention span. He forgets he's a father. That's I saw him last night going fishing. It's not like he's playing up.
Yeah, no, you'd think he'd be your son if he was going for a fish at night, wouldn't you?
Well, he's a good kid, but I hope he can come around here and pick up your grandson at some point.
I think you might be safe with Errol, really.
Yeah, it looks all right. He didn't really like that Pepsi you gave him earlier.
No, he likes his Diet Coke, this one, I think. Yeah, look.
Sun-kissed, a bit of vitamin C. Anyway, what have we got in the news this week?
Well, we'll kick off with a really classic story to open the year, and the headline reads like this: 97% of Tasmania now in line to the Danish throne after Princess Mary becomes Queen Mary.
Yes, this one really, it's a hard-hitting piece. It's a bit of clever journalism, this one, about all about all the Tasmanians being inbreds. Great to start the year off with such a cracking story.
Yes, top shelf content this was, which revealed that some 524,777 Tasmanians now have a direct claim to the Danish crown after Princess Mary became Queen Mary earlier this week. The 3% who are unable to claim are those who have fled from the mainland capital cities to ruin Tasmania with their money and their elitist attitude in recent years.
It's caused that housing crisis down there. And the Danes have yet to comment on whether they'll be giving any royal positions to Tasmanians. But I have heard that there might be an Archduke of Devonport in line, which is something quite exciting. There was a comment on there by a man whose name was David. He kept the highbrow content coming. He said, rumours have it that in Tasmania they have 2 heads of state.
That's
there's not a lot of hygge in places like Launceston, is there?
No, but maybe Princess Mary can bring him some. We'll move on to a more national issue. It's about a local man here in town who's suffering from a range of cruel socio-economic issues that are simply unacceptable in a developed country, being told by his only possible political alternative to boycott a grocery store due to the supermarket chain's decision to not take part in a deeply inauthentic display of Americanised patriotism.
That's right. Returned serviceman Dale Templeton has finally got some hope again. After suffering, for a long time from a long list of chronically painful workplace injuries, sustained in both the Defence Force and the physically taxing labouring jobs he bounced between in the years after his honourable discharge. This public housing resident hasn't really had hot water for 3 weeks, and things aren't going well. It's like a Jimmy Barnes song, but Dale says he's actually glad that some of these politicians are now doing something to improve his life. They're moving him up to the top of the pile.
Yes, this comes after opposition leader Peter Dutton, the man who the newspapers say should be our next Prime Minister, gave Dale a ray of hope when he said that all Australians should boycott Woolies because they are no longer selling plastic Chinese-made Australia Day merchandise as part of an Americanised facade of deeply inauthentic patriotism that celebrates the least exciting public holiday in the nation's calendar.
And Albanese's come out today, hasn't he, saying you should just steal from Woolworths?
Yes, he said that stealing meat from Woolworths is a victimless crime.
Yep.
Which,
Tell you is one of the real victims in this, Peter Dutton's au pair, who's now been forced to walk an extra 2 kilometres to her Coles every single day.
That au pair would be going to bloody Harris Farms.
Yeah, so sometimes used to, sometimes Woolies, but I think he's made a point
He's
of
not
Coles.
short of a quid, that bastard, is he?
Apparently he likes...
Neither's Albo. They're all fucking rich in that place, aren't
Very,
they?
very rich.
Drain the swamp, poison the trough, I say.
Sorry for swearing, Leroy.
Now, we'll move on to a very sad story. Culinary icon Hogster has been confirmed dead at 38 this week after a suspected heart attack.
Yes, colourful culinary identity and steakhouse entrepreneur Ian Hogster Breath has passed away after a suspected heart attack on the Queensland Sunshine Coast earlier this week. The 38-year-old was rushed to a private veterinarian clinic in Mooloolaba shortly after 1 p.m. local time, but was turned away after staff discovered it was just an incredibly sick man wearing a hot pink hog costume. The Resto Bar icon died a short time later at Sunshine Coast University Hospital at Sippy Downs there.
Television chef and face of many cheap supermarket barbecue tools, Curtis Stone, said via X, formerly known as Twitter, that Hogster's famous 18-hour slow-cooked steaks inspired not just him, but many other cooks and chefs of his era. Valet, Ian, I hope they're ready for your famous hospitality up there in hog heaven, said Mr. Stone.
You got any favourite memories of Hoggy you want to share, Errol?
Hoggy?
You met him once, didn't you?
I was on a bucks with him in Port Stephens a few years ago. Yeah, no, he's
a bit piggy, eh?
You couldn't bring him down with a meat axe, old Hogster.
He went a bit hard on the K, and we had to help him out of a cubicle. He was in all sorts.
Ended up putting him in the tub.
He went arse over head over a fucking line bike. He just rode it into a gutter and went over the handlebars, and all these people just rushed over, and they were like, Ian, are you okay? And he wasn't.
Health issues have followed that.
Yeah, not surprising to those that knew him that he's gone, but still very sad anyway. Now we'll finish up with a sports story, and in some exciting news, the male Matildas have beaten Syria this week.
In some exciting news for sports fans around the country, the soccer Kangaroos have progressed to the next round of the Asian Cup. The male Matildas, as they're known, or also colloquially referred to as the male Tildas, managed to clench a spot in round of 16 of the tournament after a gritty 1-0 win over Syria.
Yes, it's a result that's being hailed as a massive win for equality in sport, with hopes one day that the male Matildas will be able to match the popularity and success of the actual Matildas. Those male Matildas, they did get equal pay with the ladies last year, even though they actually don't generate anywhere near as much revenue, which was a big step, and it's good to see, Clancy, that it's starting to pay off with those results. Hopefully they can go all the way in the Asian Cup.
No, support male soccer is all I want to say to everyone listening out there. Support men's soccer. Show up, report on it, and buy tickets, and take your young little boys. They need to see, positive sporting heroes.
You can't be what you can't see. I think that's the thing, and it's fine to comment on all this sort of stuff, but as you said, Clancy, get out there to those games. Start showing up, start putting your money where your mouth is, and maybe there's some other young boys that will get inspired out there.
Yeah, well, the numbers have just boomed in young boys grassroots soccer after last night's win over Syria. So, all power to the male Tildas. Male till it's done.
Yep, let's keep being better. Anyway, that's the end of it for this week. We'll talk to you soon.